Are you ready for a very hot topic? I feel you are. You are a very knowledgeable audience about this topic we've been talking about today, all over the year, and maybe even decades. And the topic is about the broadening of the ownership of state-controlled companies. I said it so slowly because I am a lawyer and I needed to follow whether I use the terms correctly. The broadening, I think this is such a good word, isn't it? It is not losing, it is not giving up. It is broadening through inclusion for joint sustainable growth of the state-owned enterprises. And that is about it. But similarly, as good colleague mentioned already before, the capital markets is in our heart. It is so rewarding. I just wanted to say a big thank you to all of you who contribute on daily basis to Latvian capital markets development. We are also so happy to be part of it. And it is such a privilege as a lawyer or as a consultant to see those different perspectives on daily basis. You see what the issuers think, what is on their strategy, because strategy comes first, right? The needs come first. And obviously you need to attract capital when it makes sense for the business strategy. Also, what issuers say, what is integral part, maybe it will come a little surprising, but integral part of a listing is a shares option program in order to involve the people, the employees, the medium and top level management. So long-term incentive plans, that is also on the minds of the issuers. Some of them say that without a sensible share options program, the IPO does not make sense for them. We need to listen to that. Also, when we talk with investors, Latvian, Lithuanian, Estonian retail investors are very awake. A figure of 20 billion was mentioned in respect to Lithuania. Latvia a little bit over than 10 billion. Estonia must be somewhere in between. But can you imagine even Estonians are keeping their money in on-demand deposits, which means most of them, most of us, allowing our free funds to be deteriorated by inflation. This is the reality. But when we talk with institutional investors, they say, well, we are ready, we would like to invest. But dear issuers, where is the offering, right? What are the opportunities? And issuers, have you thought about all those opportunities which come from sustainable finance nowadays? There will be only increasing all those opportunities. Also, there is a wonderful, I would say, infrastructure and stakeholder involvement. We heard our Prime Minister, ex-Prime Minister, saying very encouraging words the first thing this morning, didn't we? We also have a great banking system which has completed not 20, not 30, but all 40 of FATF recommendations. I'd say beating the rest of the market. We have a great stock exchange, and Aija, you are leaving it in the best shape for Lena to manage it further. that is great, great infrastructure. And the regulator. Thank you so much for setting up this securities sandbox. I think already 5 companies, right, state municipality owned have graduated in this. This is actually priceless in a way that usually you would pay about 50,000, 70,000 for such a feasibility review, which is basically under the auspices of a regulator now performed by a pool of fantastic experts. Thank you for that. And EBRD, I wanted to mention especially. I think you have been running about 5 programs or even more over the last 3-4 years. Capital Markets Development Accelerator Fund, Listing Support Instrument, Municipal Bonds Support, all the other initiatives which relate to development of the Baltic capital markets. I think working together is such a great thing. So we have a very good base, but we also have challenges. And about the challenges and what to do and how to do, we will have a fantastic panel discussion today. I would like to invite on the stage a fantastic representative who is ambassador of good corporate governance in Riga city companies. The person who looks at strategies, medium-term, long-term strategies. You also are in charge of appointing these independent supervisory board members, and the number of them I see in this audience. Welcome with a round of applause, Ilze Spule-Statkus. From the state policy making, a person who contributes to drafting the Latvian capital markets development plans, the person who puts the right words into the action plans and in informative memorandums, a fantastic volleyball player. Welcome to the stage, Aija Zitcere. A person who does not need much of introduction, especially today. The person who runs Estonian stock exchange and has a really ideal leadership position in Estonia. I looked up at your blog, Life at the Estonian, or actually Life at the stock exchange. Our master of ceremonies, Kaarel.
Yes, thank you.
Kaarel, what is in Estonian the name of your blog?
Börsielu.
Okay, so you put it down. Last but definitely not least, a real businessman, a person who means business. Chairperson of the supervisory board of EPSO-G. Also key management position officer at the Lithuanian State Development Capital Company. A person who brings the Lithuanian experience to the panel. Welcome, Robertas Vysniauskas, with a round of applause. What a beautiful and balanced panel. So, let's get to the business. I would like to put a little challenge right to our panel. We need to discuss now in about 30 minutes where we are, right? What we need to do and how to do it. All right, so, and let's be very specific, and I want to get out of the Estonian and Lithuanian experience the best you can deliver to the table. But we should start, I think, with Latvia. with Riga. So Ilze, you are working with companies on daily basis, right? So you follow, you implement, you participate in actually approval of their strategies. And now, what is the current sentiment in the Riga city in the context of your company's strategies, of their development plans? Do they include listings at all? What is the current situation?
Thank you, Maris, first of all, and ladies and gentlemen. Actually, Riga and its owned companies have no experience in capital markets, so we are starting now from scratch. We are making first steps into this right direction. So, as you know, each beginning is related with doubts and maybe fears to do something wrong. But undeniably, Riga and its companies have great development plans, and our forecasted necessary investments exceed more than 1 billion euros till 2030. And among Riga's own bonds, which regulation is now in progress in, if I understood correctly, in the Ministry of Finance, actually Riga's companies are now evaluating and improving their readiness to capital markets to fit their standards. So 4 companies are already participated in this sandbox, and actually this evaluation was really pleasant and encouraging. The results were very good. And actually some more companies will follow, I hope, soon.
So nobody was disqualified. Yes, there is a chance for everybody.
Yes,
okay.
As I can't say that Riga is ready, you know, it's a fairy tale, then Riga will sink down, so, but our level of readiness is pretty high, I would say so. And I guess the first step in capital market will be made next year when Riga Water plans to issue bonds. And I think that successful experience of Riga Water will serve as indicator and drive to other Riga's companies. But to speed up this process, I was listening to other participants, and I think that maybe it is worth to think of some more support or needed changes, some of which are already done. Of course, for example, standardizing or simplifying steps to be taken. But maybe there's a possibility to provide support to gain credit rating. This is very important now. But when I'm thinking about public entities and state-owned companies, how to make them believe in this process, maybe how to speed up this process, maybe it's possible to think more to motivate them to decide for IPO if it reduces other restrictions and maybe some this regulations which currently significantly affect their operations and competition. For example, it could be foreseen that this restrictions and regular regulation set out in Article 88 in law of state administration do not apply to companies in which 20% of shares is listed. It's just an idea. maybe we can do so. But to conclude, main goal of Riga and Riga's owned companies is to finance their development and sustainable development, which is based in their middle and long-term strategies. That means that each situation will be very carefully and individually evaluated to take rational and advanced decisions. And actually, last 2 years we are working on to improve corporate governance. And now we are feeling this positive outcome. But what I want to highlight is that corporate governance actually is really fragile, especially in state-owned companies. And that means that we need to follow, but very strictly and constantly, this corporate governance standards in future too. So.
Sure. And by the way, that has been, I think everyone have noticed of you, the increase into the corporate governance practices and culture in Riga city-controlled companies. Thank you very much. A little follow-up. So we had the tone from the top in the beginning of the day from Mr. Krišjāns Kariņš, but I do not see, maybe I have missed them, Riga city politicians in the room. Have you spotted many?
No.
No. Right. So, Ilze, you are between, you obviously, you work with the politicians and you work with the companies, with the businesses. But since they are not in the room today, obviously we are all more or less enthusiasts of Latvian capital markets, but since the politicians will need to press the voting button in the end of the day, and I also feel there is still some lack of dialogue, what do you think we can do more or better to increase this dialogue? What do you think?
First of all, I hope that some of them are watching us remotely. Yeah. But actually, I'm really thinking about this fear, how politicians, and I know that you will speak about it later, but actually it's this privatization fear. Yeah. And I think it's trauma for us, and how to overcome this trauma. And as we all know from psychotherapy, how to overcome trauma, you should overwrite it or experience it again, but with completely different consequences. And of course, it is very important to build understanding, to educate, to see these good examples, but more important is to gain own good experience and feel these all advantages on yourself in action.
Right.
So that's why I really hope that Riga Water will be successful in this first step in bond issue. And for bond issue, we do not need political decision. Yes, this is
every
made by board.
With blue bonds. Yes, blue bonds. So thank you very much. It's clear. Now, if we move over to the state policy planning. Now, Aija, what would be your perspective? You have probably now received also some of those feedback from the companies, including the Riga city companies, but also the state-owned enterprises. How would you characterize the current situation and the willingness of the state and municipality controlled companies to be more active in the capital markets?
I will probably start with taking one step back. If you look in general at why we need to develop capital markets and why we are promoting it, we need a good access to finance to companies, which is basic thing the financial market could achieve. These weeks we had a lot of discussions about interest rates, previously about lending amounts. I'm not going even to open that question here, but the good financial market is diversified and we're not relying on one source of funding. So if you look at our capital market, it has good infrastructure, it has more or less all the elements, but it doesn't have amount. It's that tiny little slice you barely noticed on a slide. If your A side is not good, you probably didn't notice it at all. So what we need amount. And how we achieve amount? Promoting, getting more companies in a stock market. And so we did some calculations, how far can we grow if we're 2% right now? Let's say putting together all the existing activities, sandbox, etc., we could get to the 5% of GDP, but if we want to go to 9% of GDP, which is modest, it's current Lithuanian level, then we also need at least a couple of large state-owned companies in the financial market, in stock market. So that was something which was very clearly laid out to politicians, and that was heard, and there is willingness to actually have this capital market and understanding that that's a missing part. If I add also investor side, then what we see, we currently have about 10 billion of household deposits in banking deposits. On average, currently money in bank deposits earns 0.26%. Not because interest rates are bad on deposits, they're actually quite good right now, but most of them don't earn even interest because they're in deposits on the demand.
So either no interest or very, very small interest, yeah?
Yes, there is small interest to invest. And also we have a pension fund money, which is around 6.5 billion. Also, largest part of that doesn't stay in Latvia. But we do see some interest growing in the retail investors. And good example from our state treasury is government saving bonds, which have reached 200 million, and they have around 6,000 individual in retail investors, which is quite significant amount if you look at the... It's not a big amount comparing with what is the banking deposits, but we need to activate the process to actually make the money work.
So the investor is there and he and she has money.
Yes, and if you look at the companies, indeed, as Ilze already outlined, it is also opportunity to open up, to improve corporate governance, and maybe to change the motivation, not just working for some social, political goals, but also having a bigger commercial drive.
Right.
So understanding this need of taking action now, what we did, in the May, government of Latvia approved report on capital market development.
Yeah.
By our political cycle, we would need a new plan by the end of the year or something early next year, but understanding that it takes time to get the companies into the market, we started early. So at this moment, we have received information from the ministries who gathered the information from the companies. I would say there is interest. The mood is changing, but it's difficult. There's a lot of perception, there's a lot of legal obstacles, so it's something that will take time and we'll have to work with it, but there is a movement in the right direction.
Excellent. But I like it what Aija said around the table. She said, you can always think and rethink, but sometimes you simply just need to do, yes? And this is, you know, but thank you very much for, you know, supporting it. You cannot go into the shoes of the issuers themselves, but you can do everything so that they feel the support. Now, Kaarel, a little bit moving on, you have gone a little bit further than that. Right, we are really willing to understand, right, what were the selling points, how the Estonian political, business and the general investor environment were motivated actually to go in such great numbers into, for instance, Tallinn port, right, IPO, and obviously subsequently Enefit Green. What was the magic? Can you share us the insight?
I don't know.
Oh, I was really hoping that you will just give, you know, a few points.
The 3 points, yeah. I mean, I tell you a story.
Yeah.
You said in the opening words that we have been talking about this.
Yes.
For years, maybe decades.
Yes.
Same with us. And I have been writing opinion pieces, you know, as many, I was already embarrassed to write so much. So I had the different angles there. You should do it because of this. Then I had some empirical evidences. Then I had some research.
Yeah.
This is why I had this blog. So I was writing so much that I had to put them in my blog.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be lost. So there was a lot of advocating from our side. We had several stakeholders who are doing the same, also, I would say, decades.
Yeah.
And why I say I don't know, I'd say it's a combination of efforts. I think at one moment the planets were aligned, the sun was at the right place, and the politicians at that time who had to make the decision, they agreed, yes, we take Port of Tallinn and we go through with the IPO. And the funny story about it was that we thought we knew everything, why this is necessary, etc. So we had been talking about this for years. And then there was a meeting with the advisors, with the issuer, with our people and with PR. So we were in the Port of Tallinn office, and we were trying to align what will be the next steps now.
Right.
And then our marketing guy asked, like a rhetoric question, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
And people started answering, and everybody answered a different answer. And then we thought, okay, so we don't even know why are we doing this. And so what we did, this was in 2018, so we came up with an A4.
Like one-pager.
Basically, it was a one-pager. And we listed 3 reasons.
Okay.
We agreed among these people that these are the main
I'm taking
reasons.
my pen out slowly.
Yeah. So the reasons we wrote down, and I tell you soon why the one pager and who was using this. First one, we need to create investment opportunities for our retail.
Yeah.
Everybody agreed, yes. Second, we need to attract foreign institutional investors and create opportunities for our local pension funds. Again, years and years of talk, so this is 2. And 3, this will make the company or companies, the state-owned companies, more transparent and improve their corporate governance. And what happened with these one-pagers, they were distributed then to our politicians, because it was a very well-covered topic, so that they would also then, when media will ask, why are you doing this, they would explain it through these 3 points. And this is even as today. Whenever we talk about it, Enefit Green was the next one several years later. These are, I wouldn't say they are living a life of their own, but it has been accepted as the main reasons. Why would you need to list a state-owned enterprise, and who would benefit? And I would now, considering the recent development, add a 4th one.
Right.
When we have the MSCI Baltic index now, what does it take for our Baltic region to go from frontier to emerging market? Like Aija said, we need volume, we need size.
Yeah.
And this is clearly where state, with its state-owned companies, can pitch in, because this is size. And I'm a capitalist, and I a little bit cautiously look at some socialist, tendencies in recent years. But I truly believe that a government does not have to, be involved in running businesses.
Yeah.
I think the goal of a government, wherever the government is to create an environment for the business. And therefore, I think these 3, now 4 reasons, I think they are evergreen.
Do we need more than that? I think it makes absolutely perfect sense what we just discussed. You know, retail is there. Their money is losing value. Why not we, the state and municipal companies, share the business with our own people?
Yep.
Right. Foreign institutional investors, foreign investment, clean foreign investment, always very welcome to the country. And the pension funds, we have the same story. You know, also these complaints all over the place that our pension money is working for American companies, you name it, you know, no offense to American companies, but why cannot this capital work for our own companies? But then the pension funds say, but show us the instruments, show us the scope, show us the volume. Right, and you say companies becoming more transparent. Exactly, I think this is, they are already working on good corporate governance, but this more transparency also leads to more, I would say, protection from undue political influence. There will always remain political influence if they are state or muni-controlled, but this undue one, right? These quick emotional decisions and all of that. So, yep. Thank you, Kaarel. I think, you know, this is already a key takeaway from the panel. I would like to move on to Robertas. So, from the Lithuanian perspective, and there was one word which slipped already through, starts with P. If you want to kill a Latvian state-owned enterprise idea going into the capital markets, you label it privatization, almost like stealing. Yes, but you know, it is as it is. Therefore, we are also now but we would like to very much hear the Lithuanian experience. And my question is, has Ignitis been already stolen? How many oligarchs are invested in Ignitis capital? And are you close to already, you know, losing the all kind of control over the energy company? And plus, Robertas, if I can, in addition to that, I heard from a trustable source, but it was also on the slides, that you are a good client of Dorota there, right? So maybe also a reflection on that. So a twofold question. What happens with the privatization in Lithuania, and any comments in that respect? Mm-hmm. And then the ratings.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, I will start quite broader.
Yeah.
You
sure.
initially said that we should look broader.
Yeah.
Our market has huge potential. Let's be honest. 40 billion deposit is a huge amount that could be used as retail investors. One thing. Another thing. How many IPOs we have in Baltics we have during this year? None, probably. Let's be honest. Yeah. In Sweden, in 2021, 73 at least. So. One thing. Another thing about our Lithuania, Latvia, or Estonia economies and energy sector. It's under transition. At the moment, we all like importing all energy sources. In future, for sure, we're going to go to renewables, and in future, we're going to be almost we have produced by ourselves, or even we will become energy exporters. That means what? That means huge amounts shall be needed. From my calculation, at least Lithuania will need 100 billions, and be sure that all three Baltic states will need probably up to 200 billion euros for such transition. So the state, the government will not, of course, have such amounts. So how will come? That's for sure that state companies will have to step in. Huge state companies, huge municipality companies will have to provide the capital for social purposes in order to transit to new economy, in order to transit to new way of doing business and to providing services. So from that perspective, it's quite certain that all essential state companies and municipality companies will need to go to the markets either to raise debt or either to raise capital. That's for sure. Now regarding those P, the P interesting words, yes, of course, oligarchs are all aware, they have everything, but it's like a joke, let's be honest. It's public, it's listed. Even issuer has to approve the main list who's becoming the shareholder. So at this stage, you'll have lots of instruments you can control, and it shall be transparent. And market itself gonna be transparent. And free flow, it's quite natural thing, You should make the first step and see everything goes right. Because we have at the moment Ignitis, and we all share that it's a success story. That's for sure, but we are looking forward, maybe in future, we're gonna have additional companies who go on the market, not only on bonds, but also IPOs. This is my personal dream, and I hope it's going to continue.
Robertas, do you think that oligarch will buy in for fair market valuation?
Like all oligarchs did the business from initial, they did it from the value, yes, for sure. And that's why they call oligarch.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you very much for this. I mean, great reflection. It was, I would say, short and sweet. Would you encourage our state-owned companies to go that route? And maybe in addition to what Kaarel said, what were the kind of the selling points in Lithuania that you needed to overcome? What was the public discussion? Was it similar problems like here? But how did you break through?
Like, there is no silver bullet, that's for sure. You have to advocate all the time. You have to communicate all the same things, all the same goals. Why we do though? It's quite, there is no tool that could make it. The communication. You have to have clear goals. You have to clear vision. You have to have good strategy, you have to get good corporate governance, you have to show that by going to the markets, you make it more company independent, meaning that, of course, politicians could not affect so easily as they can do. Of course, companies of strategic importance could be affected by politicians. That's natural, that's the way it is. But if you're going on the markets, you have what? You have that all shareholders, you have all rights. So therefore, it's like it's additional defense line for making proper decision. The decision should be reasonable based on economy and so on and so forth. So basically, I encourage to go in the markets, of course, if there is such need, and of course, if the company itself is prepared, because it's not, go to the markets, it's not so simple. You have to have corporate governance, as Riga's companies really encourage how to do that in common way, to cooperate. That's a good example. To have sandbox, it's a good example. Therefore, you show the market itself that they could trust you, and then you go to the market after they understand your case, after they can trust you. They, of course, will take your proposal for shares or for bonds for proper price, the price you expect.
Robertas, you come across very popular here. Just one follow-up, maybe also for both of you, but you had an intervention.
Yes, a little bit with this P thing. You make it sound like we have it all done in Estonia. I don't think we have.
Right.
We have the port of Tallinn that is 1/3 of the companies listed. Enefit Green is not even that. So we have small minority shares.
Yeah.
So for me, when we're talking about privatization, which is like a bad word, it means that it's 100%. So, and therefore, occasionally our politicians are saying that, these and these companies, they can't be listed because they are strategically important.
Yeah.
And I apologize, I may be dumb, but I don't get it.
Yeah.
What does it mean? Does it mean that the port of Tallinn is not strategically important? Does it mean that the renewable energy firm, Enefit Green, is not strategically important? They are.
Yeah.
So you have so many ways to really maneuver in this space. Either list the minority shares and see how it goes. I would say both of them are success stories, and they have fulfilled all these goals we had, these three reasons. So therefore, I think we should do a lot more. we have more companies that could be taken, with the same path, and this would, avoid these, sort of embarrassing cost-cutting exercises that we see, I think, in all three Baltic countries. As we speak, the budgets are, under attack, the costs, and also the minister said that this is a low-hanging fruit. It's so easy to pick basically, 4, 5, 6 companies, list them, and you don't have to worry whether you get 100,000 or 10 million to cover the budget deficit.
Kaarel, you almost read this question. What is the difference between privatization and state company IPO? So it's the 100% we're not talking about, right?
Yes.
It's still retention of full control, but we involve the people, we involve the capital, we spread it across, right? We leverage it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was quoting JFK in the morning.
Yeah.
And in the US, it was in the 50s and 60s. There was a campaign, Own Your Share.
Yeah.
So it was encouraging citizens to own local company shares because it was a Cold War. They were considered more loyal. And I think we should also, take steps.
Latvians also like to own, right? We like to own our flats. We like to own small piece of land. Why not own the share in the business?
Exactly.
Right. What about this? Maybe what do you think about this? The privatization thing. Any reflections from your side? Do you come across this word?
We try to avoid it.
Yeah.
So, well, yes, the 90s has left us with some major emotional traumas as regards financial markets. Privatization, Bank of Baltic, still haunts us. But indeed, if I look at the word privatization, I would see that it's taking away something from state and giving it into the private hands, which actually means it gets more closed.
Yeah.
And transparent, but when you go public, you open up, you increase transparency, you increase involvement. As you said, everybody could maybe own one share of Air Baltic fleet or maybe two. This ownership element, but yes, indeed, it's more about opening up and also attracting more financing, having better management. And I also agree with Kaarel. It's not about 100%, black and white. It's keeping the control. We all were learning during Moneyval process how to correctly pronounce in Latvian beneficial owner. So then we learned how we calculate the control. And it's not 100%. There are more granularity. So we can still keep control and go public and open up.
Excellent. What do you think, Ilze? Will the one-pager with the 3+1 work for Riga City Duma politicians?
Yeah, of course, it could help, really. But what I wanted to highlight that actually for Riga City and for Riga-owned companies, it is a very essential long-term financial development and this resilience. And I think maybe this capital market can help us. And but maybe more about this fear is that, of course, I think that some of Riga City companies have a relatively high readiness for capital market and bond issue, but some of them maybe do not meet several quantitative criteria. For example, if we look historical and future cash flow maybe is not so good, or stable high dividends we have still not, but I think this is aspects that we can improve.
Excellent. Now, one last question to Robertas. In your opinion, was Ignitis IPO a successful story or not? What lessons did you learn? Would you do something different?
It's rather hard for me to disclose all the details because I'm not from Ignitis perspective.
I know.
And we're like feeling like competition, like
Yeah.
EPSO-G feeling a lot of competition from Ignitis because we are huge energy company. So from that perspective, yes. Is it success story? Yes, of course. Look at capitalization of the company at the moment. The value is around probably 1.5 billion. So is it success story in Baltic states? Yes, for sure. It's the biggest. It has lots of funds attracted, either through IPO, either through the bonds. They probably at least 1 billion euros they attracted. So therefore they could invest into energy sector, and therefore we can benefit from profit. And for sure they're going to benefit our citizens because it's ultimately beneficial owners, more or less as citizens of Lithuania. So is it success story? Yes, of course. How to repeat that? You should take lessons learned and go forward because your story is different story. You should put each company and look what you can do, what you can build the story. Are the story was complicated at the moment? Yes, because they did it on capital markets, not only in local, in internationals. We did it in several stock markets. So it was huge, difficult thing. And why it was huge, difficult thing? Because our capital market is not so deep. It's small actually, so if in case you want to get listed, you have to attract all international investors from all over the world. So I would like encourage everyone to think about whether from their perspective, from their company's perspective, they could go on the market. I would encourage politicians to think about how they can encourage companies to come, maybe to incentivize, the same as in Lithuania, small and medium companies to go in to exchange market, small amounts like 50K, just for getting listing in additional market. It's quite an option, you know. So therefore, we should think about how we can make huge active market. Whether you mentioned pension funds, it's quite, you know, it's a provocative thing, you know, pension funds, whether they need good companies to invest, or whether we could go like to the Poland case, like do some kind of investments mandatory, or from your investments here in local market. Maybe it could be like an option. Maybe that could affect to bring the competence here, to bring those companies. You know, it's not about one thing. It's about lots of measures that should be put in place, and about all measures should be evaluated that we need to make it capital markets active in order to get benefited out of that.
Thank you, Robertas. Excellent. I think, you know, we have some real takeaways from this panel. So instead of privatization, we use what? Broadening and inclusion. And we have a clear one-pager already announced on Latvian television by an esteemed market leader. I think we should give a round of applause to these takeaways.